All right. Is it
Sure.
Kwame there tonight? Kwame,
Yeah.
are you with us? Are we with you?
Hey guys, sorry about that. Yeah, we're here. You guys are on.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Bob, are you here?
Yes, I am. As soon as I can figure this stuff out, I am.
No, it's hard
Challenge.
pushing a button.
It's very hard.
It must be really cold up there. Your fingers are frozen and you can't like. All right, usually there's a CAC update, but we don't see any representatives of CAC, so we will forego that part for now unless somebody shows up. We will move on to the second item here, which is the request to rename the Rondell Neighborhood Center. Has everyone had a chance to review these nefarious materials?
Yeah.
Hey, I was like, that's cloak and dagger. That's bitter. That's some bitter stuff.
Yes.
Honest.
It's kind of our history, you know?
So, anyway, we have a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Commission to follow through with this proposal from actually decades ago to rename the Rondell Community Center the Albert Brown Community Center. If we decide to do this, I would request making one little change, and that would be to add the word memorial, the Albert Brown Memorial Community Center, to make it clear that this is memorializing this.
Is that what he's asking for?
No, that's not in the original, but we don't.
Because he also fixed that no more, no less. So if we're making any changes, I'd rather.
Who says no more? No less?
The author, the cousin, I think it is.
Carl. It is called. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's.
I would just,
Want to call him?
I would want to ask him.
Okay.
Because he's proposing this, I want to ask, is that okay? I understand the significance of it, but I want to ask him if they're adding that, what do you
Do any of us have his contact information?
As well, that isn't this, it was to be named the Albert Brown.
before?
So that's the original
So
name.
why bother?
Why do we want to say memorial? How about the Annie Murphy Center? Is that named after someone who's no longer
It is.
Correct.
around? So
Well, because memorial clarifies that you're naming it as, you know, it's this practice. We're doing this to honor this person. So
Now,
it's not just a name. Yeah.
now,
So I think it gives a greater emphasis to say, this is not just somebody's name we're slapping up there.
I feel much better opine on this.
yeah, I think so.
Are you calling?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I could, just to kind of, yeah, so, as part of, following up on what Drew said, I would say that, the Parks and Recreation Commission did have a very lengthy conversation with the Brown family. And I would just say that if there was going to be a proposed name change, that this would then have to go, I think it should go back to the Recreation Commission to then start the process all over again if that was, the intent of the council. But we're just trying to follow the procedure that the Common Council laid out for the naming of buildings. And so that's, the Recreation Commission, kind of meets with the family, has these initial discussions. That recommendation then comes to my office, and then my office makes that recommendation to the Common Council. The Common Council, I believe, per the policy, has the ability to set a public hearing if the Common Council chooses to do so. And then after a public hearing can then either decide to approve or not approve of the name change. And so that's just kind of, it's laid out in that resolution that the council adopted back in 2007, I believe. And so I would just say that if there is a proposal to change the name, that we just may need to start over again. And I wouldn't suggest maybe making a change on the fly tonight without kind of bringing in all of the stakeholders involved.
Okay,
What the original name that was listed in the sixties.
okay,
I believe it was the Albert Brown Memorial Center, Memorial Community Center, or the Albert Brown Community Center.
Which one do you want?
Which way, whatever it was.
Whatever it was then.
Mhm.
I mean, I was really excited about everything. I just wanted to go through to, let's get it named. Let's not get hung up on memorial or not. If that's what it was in the original papers, we go with that.
Okay.
Nothing.
Well, it's probably what it was
That's
in
right.
the original papers.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, all right, well, thank you.
You want.
Thanks, Carl.
Bye.
And so I could just say that also from just the number of characters involved in the name of a building. Also, you know, if you think about it, Parks and Rec needs to then have this name listed on every single form, every flyer, the building itself, you know, every program announcement. And so I would just say that if the family doesn't have a preference, you know, shorter is generally better from just a communication perspective, you know, with our residents about the facility name.
Yeah, so it's actually the original name proposed Albert Brown Memorial Recreation Center.
That was the original name, it's here in the documents.
Yeah. That's what he wants.
Yeah, that's, it says here again, second time.
Yep,
Okay.
it's in all the papers,
Yeah, I do believe, you know, after talking to Carl, the concept of having it be a community center was important and that this wasn't just necessarily a recreation center. So while that may have been proposed initially, I'm not sure that that's the true sense.
Well, community center have the interest of whether to add the memorial. Yeah, I think community center is better than recreation center.
I think so too.
So, yeah,
But that's
the
not-
Memorial Recreations. Who made this?
I think the family did,
Okay.
Carl Brown and his other relatives.
He's gone.
Hi, Carl.
Yes, I agree with Steve 100%. I mean, from the point of view of having a shorter name, it's the best point of reference. As far as the memorial end of it, I'm talking to Steve now about having a room that we can understand why that building has been named after this person.
Oh,
Oh,
Great.
Lord,
Nice.
inside.
very nice.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
well, I'm not
We want to get it right.
complicated process, but
Brown Community Center would be perfect. I really would, my family would appreciate that.
Okay,
As far as the memorial part of it, we can do that in a room.
okay,
And not have the long name as Steve is saying. Also, I agree with Steve 100%.
okay.
well, thank you for being here and weighing in on this, so the Albert Brown Community Center.
Yeah, I missed Saratoga racetrack today because of this. No.
I hope this brings.
We're changing the name of Saratoga Racetrack?
Or it was, or. Thanks for sharing the history.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay, well, you know, if other folks are fine with Albert Brown Community Center, we can, I'm not gonna
Okay.
plant my flag on this hill.
Does anybody know if this Brown family is related to Clint Brown?
The Go-Go?
No,
Musician?
Clint Brown, the former, older person who was gone.
I did not see that in the documentation that we
Right.
read.
I was just wondering.
Well, we can call Carl back. And this is race.
I tried over. Maybe I'm not that.
Yeah. Yeah. Eugene. So anyway, well, let me read. So, I have here, I wrote up a report. It says authorize the mayor to rename the Rondout Community Center. The new name is to be, quote, the Albert Brown Community Center, end quote. The signage shall be erected as soon as practicable upon the mayor of the station.
So is, Albert Brown's cousin, it's my cousin also, so is, Angela Brown, Adrian,
Right, and so Adrian Manuel,
that's all my family there.
that's interesting. And
So you
he's
change your
the
vote?
one, no, not at all. But it would be interesting.
Money.
So business over there, the Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly,
I
exactly.
don't know. Anyway,
All right.
yes.
Do you want to just stay on until we finish the vote? Okay.
So you still want to make the motion?
I will make the motion.
Sarah Paskey moves. Second by Drew Andrews. Is there any discussion?
Definitely a long time
Yes.
coming and
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
So hearing no discussion, further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all for your support on this. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great
Definitely.
night.
You too.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
It's somebody with the name in Stevens.
Might be interesting to have Adrian involved at the renaming of this. Adrian, now is pretty much project manager for the Metro. And, yeah. And he's a graduate of Kingston High School, went on to become one of the youngest principals of Kingston High School. He was told while in high school that he probably wouldn't amount to much and he was not college material. And he has proven everybody wrong to be, I think, just deserves to have and make a presentation.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the traffic items, 2 traffic items. Oh, and John, are you with us? John Schulteis?
No, he's not. He said it wasn't gonna. He sent an email.
Why am I not getting this?
Was it an email that he sent or a text? Yeah.
Yes, he sent an email and I sent it to you guys before the meeting sometime.
Yes, you did. So the email, it came from you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And basically in the email, he lists comments and recommendations.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, now I see it.
Mhm.
So. Wait, these aren't the ones that are in the,
Yeah, Oxley stop sign.
Yeah, that's in there.
I thought it was something about Lucas.
Well, there was, but it's not included here. No, it's included in the list, but it's not on John's recommendation. And I'm happy to speak about that.
Oh, I see. So Ardsley then, Ardsley stop sign, Trimper, I don't believe there are any questions or concerns with making these changes. This just corrects a historical oversight, and I believe most drivers are already stopping or at least yielding. I really paused for these movements. I totally paused. Anybody know that reference?
No,
Mean Girls, first scene.
Minnesota.
He's in rare form tonight.
He goes flying right, stop sign. All right. So basically this is,
Number 2.
right, I'm looking to see. Okay, so the committee report reads Part 2, General Legislation, Chapter 390, Part 2, Red Traffic Regulations, Article 13, Schedules, Section 390-92, Schedule 9. Stop intersections, add Ardsley Street southwest of Trimper Avenue, Ardsley Street northeast at Smith Avenue. Are there any questions?
Nope.
There can't be because there's nobody here to answer them.
And John has already opined saying that it's okay, so
Is there a motion to approve?
You're good at answering question.
only about Lucas Avenue. I will make a motion.
All right, second.
Second.
Second by Carol. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Unanimous is the decision. All right. Passed unanimously. And then the next one here, remove handicap zones from 76 West Union Street and 77 West Union Street. And there is no
John has no objections.
that.
Those buildings are unoccupied and condemned, so that we don't have anyone living in there.
I don't think we need handicap parking sign.
Really, yeah.
Sorry, I don't have any committee reports for these.
Yeah.
No. Names are in a different order in every single one of these things.
They always are.
All right, so the committee report reads, remove handicap parking signs from 76 West Union Street and 77 West Union Street. We have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Drew Andrews, second by Terrell Mickens. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The motion passes unanimously.
Would you like me to say something about something that doesn't appear in John's email, but it appears so the quest description here about Lucas Avenue in Washington?
Yes.
That is something that a constituent of Michael brought to him, suggesting that there should be a no right turn on red because there's a crosswalk there.
We're talking about Lucas in Washington.
Lucas and Washington, so it's at the intersection of our two wards.
Uh-huh.
So meanwhile, having heard from other people and from watching it myself, and I'm talking with Michael, we realized that that there might be, that there really isn't a need for it because there's not a lot of traffic that goes through there. So to have no right on red when there's not a lot of traffic means that
Right.
people are just sitting there. So what we have suggested is that we just monitor it, you know, just over time and sort of see if traffic increases, if it appears that it's becoming a dangerous situation, then we can always request it. But right now, it doesn't seem dangerous. One person brought it up, but neither of us have heard any other complaints. So we have been suggested to John, you know, look into it, but he has not weighed in on that. So I think my recommendation would be that we just leave it as is. If the need arises to come back, then we just look at that.
Good with that? Maybe else good with that?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
that's easy enough.
nothing to do there.
And then there's the last item, which is the stop sign proposed on Iwo Jima, but we didn't have anything from Schulteis on that.
Yes, his email.
Oh.
I understand there have been crashes here, including vehicles struck in the building. I visited the site and considered the relative volume to traffic on Greenkill Avenue. Not a good name for a road, Greenkill Avenue. Major Street and Iwo Jima Plain Minor Street. In consulting the manual on uniform traffic control devices, there are warrants to consider for installing all-way stop at a given location. Major factor in deciding whether all-way stop is warranted is whether traffic volumes of the streets are similar. The volume on Greenkill is significantly higher than the volume on Iwo Jima, so that warrant is not met here. Another warrant involves inadequate sight distance. However, I found that there is adequate sight distance from all directions at the intersection approaches. Finally, types of crashes that are a concern, vehicle versus building, will not be prevented with signage. I do not recommend adding stop signs on Greenkill and converting this location to all-way stop. The misuse of stop signs is associated with increased crash risks, wasting fuel, and can encourage disrespect for stop signs generally. Yes.
So,
Well,
yeah, are we in discussion yet?
we can have questions,
Right. Right.
but if we want to discuss, we have to have a motion in a second to approve.
Okay, so it is, which is several months ago, we had conversations about the availability of the lighted speed signs.
Yes,
Okay.
the speed meters.
Speed meters, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm just wondering where we are with that, and would this not be a good application for it? If we're trying to sort of alert people to their speed and encourage them to slow down, and we don't have a stop sign, perhaps the placement of one of these meters along Greenkill would make sense.
That's a great idea. So we can, it's Jeannie's word, right? Or is it your word there?
Well, you know, there's some overlap. This particular one is in, it's like right there. It's almost like it's shared.
If you're okay, just all you need to do is send an email to DPW and say, can you put a speed meter here at this particular place?
And they have a queue.
Yeah,
Because I still have.
They have a queue. I know, I have a
Yeah.
couple of streets on a queue because there was a long list. Oh, right.
But no, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Because the other, you know, we have this problem in a number of places. Streets ask people to speed, right? So that's always good to have some kind of other item, you know, either whether it's those orange balustrades, the plastic things, curvy, or put a speed meter. So I think that's a good idea in that place. If you're willing to get in touch with DPW and ask that, that would be great.
Well, hopefully the drunk people will see those. I mean, this is really becoming an issue. Since this came up last month, there was, in the middle of the night, a young person driving down Westchester drunk, totaled two cars parked on the street. Wow.
Oh,
Well, and then somebody crashed into, what was it? The boat
Yeah.
Yeah.
down there,
oh, yes.
the Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah.
Now Rip has a different sense. Oh, sure.
I do have something to bring up in connection with this intersection, and that's that there are a lot of kids that walk
Yes. The
across the Iwo Jima
boys and girls.
to go to the Boys and Girls and then to go to the Neighborhood Print Center. So I was talking with Michael before the meeting, you were talking about various things. And his suggestion, which I thought was a good one, is maybe there could be a painted crosswalk, which, it's some sort of a way, to demarcate the fact that kids are going to be walking. So if you're coming down Greenfield, which I do a lot on my way over here, at least you would sort of be aware that this is a place where people actually walk. That might help with some of the potential issues that have arisen from what I've heard from people in the neighborhood print center to say that sometimes kids are walking across the street and.
That's a good idea to bring up with John Schulteis.
Okay.
Bob, I don't know if Bob wants to weigh in with that, because I know the other problem is you have to be careful, because sometimes things that seem like they are a solution can actually increase the problem. So
I understand.
if you have a crosswalk in an inappropriate place, people might think it's safe to cross there,
I see.
but drivers would not necessarily understand that, right? I'm just saying, this is
I
one of
understand.
the things that they bring in these kind of issues to harsh your mellow.
Right. You're also encouraging people to cross the railroad tracks, which is not something we want to encourage, despite the fact that it's happening all over the place down there. There's about 3 or 4 gaps in the fence where people cross the tracks, and which, as we all know, is very dangerous. But
Yeah, why would
I
this-
see crosswalks on the track.
No, this is just on Iwo Jima, where it,
No, but he's saying that that's the problem, is if you
Oh.
encourage people to cross Iwo Jima, you might encourage them to come through the fence
I
and
see.
cross the
I
railroad
see.
tracks. We have had a proposal, I don't know where it is before, but it was to work with CSX to try to create an overpass, a pedestrian
no,
overpass.
I never heard of that.
And so, but there was all kinds of issues that CSX had to navigate, negotiate. So I don't know if that's still alive at all, but I think that would be really something good to pursue further, to find some other way for folks to get across there. Because it is kind of difficult if you're coming from the high school, you get to Boys and Girls Club, you have to go under the bridge and come around and all that.
remember back in the good old days, there was a staircase by the bridge that they took out when they replaced the bridge, which was not a great idea. They used handicap accessibility as the reason, and I think they could have persevered had they given a little more effort to it. But
We got some money.
Please don't understand what we're saying. So you're saying that there shouldn't be a crosswalk from one side of Iwo Jima onto the walkway.
Across Greenfield.
No, not across Greenfield, I'm talking at the end of Iwo Jima.
Yeah, on Iwo Jima,
Yeah, on Iwo Jima, not across. Greenfield.
Greenfield.
Oh,
So,
But just at the
but that's
end,
where the.
yeah, right there in the end, because there's a crosswalk on a very dangerous part, it's within, so you have the Iwo Jima and Greenfield.
Yes.
right,
But several feet, I'd say yards down, there's a crosswalk. There's a crosswalk because we take our kids to Metro Park.
Right.
So we have a
Oh.
bunch of preschoolers crossing the street and it's always been dangerous.
oh,
Are you talking
So
about
we-
that stop sign? Or is it in the middle of
is it
the
in the
walk?
middle of the
It's in the
block?
middle of the mall. It's in
In the middle of Iwo Jima?
It's in the middle of Iwo Jima. So you have the entrance, to Energy Square, in the back.
The back,
So
yeah, right.
it's right around there.
That's right.
Oh,
It's weirdly
That's a
placed.
strange place.
It's weirdly placed
Mhm.
and it's dangerous.
right,
Because we have to stand and kind of,
Right,
because they're
right,
coming
right,
over the bridge.
Right.
And
right,
right there is the crosswalk.
got
They
it.
don't see us, they're, stepping on it, and that's also a dangerous place for people to pass. So, Bob, I didn't understand.
There is,
Yeah, you're talking about the,
What you were saying about the crossing going through the gate, I understand it's dangerous to cross the tracks. But what does that have to do with someone on one side of the street going onto the walkway? Is that the green?
yeah, the crosswalk you're talking about, and I agree, the sight distance is not great there. The crosswalk you're talking about is the termination of the pathway, right? It ends right, the pathway ends there and crosses over. And,
Right.
you know, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, the bridge, right?
Yeah, and so that, you're right, that configuration, that path, that pathway, the Empire State Trail at that location wasn't
Yeah.
well, could have been done better. And
Yeah, that's on Greenfield.
It's very weirdly placed. It should be on the
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah,
it
just,
may-
yeah.
right, maybe it's fine, maybe
We're talking about.
I'll say that was a state project.
Right.
that was a state project. Maybe a crosswalk sign at that location, both directions would be a good improvement. We ought to run
Yes.
that by, one of the big orange, yellow ones that say crosswalk and, so that
Right.
people are, because that does come up on you. And I don't know if there's a sign around it. I don't think there is actually.
No.
There's-
So actually, if we're talking about the crosswalk across Iwo Jima, in other words, it would be running parallel with Greenhill. There's already a stop sign there. So that might be a case where DPW can just paint one in.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So
That's
that's, somebody needs to talk with DPW about that. Because it might be possible to just paint it in.
Just the paint in,
Yeah, that's.
Crosswalk across Iwo Jima, yeah.
I remember talking to John at one point, and I don't know if he felt it was necessary to have some. There was a conversation years ago, but we could revisit.
but Drew makes an interesting point because if what John is saying is that he took like a traffic count and that there wasn't a lot of traffic on Iwo Jima, are we?
No, I'm agree. Oh, sorry, I mean,
One
that's right,
Iwo
not a lot of traffic.
But is that traffic not, he does not include foot traffic in that analysis. So maybe we should look at kids that are crossing, the kids from Boys and Girls, the kids that will be crossing, trying to get to the metro. Maybe that's the kind of traffic that should be considered, as well as vehicles. In which case, stop sign might be.
So, sure, that's a good idea to bring up with John.
Okay.
Um,
We'll bring
My,
that.
my suspicion is that to adequately address that, you would need to completely redesign the road.
To put in the stop sign there?
Put in like curves, put in other things that would, or, trees, things that would visually cause drivers to slow down.
Well.
So like things like stop signs along there or crosswalks, are not likely to be effective.
They would be effective during the day when the kids are making predominantly use of that cross section of Green Hill and Iwo Jima.
Okay, maybe, but that's what Bob and John probably would say too, is that if you don't do something radical to alter the streetscape there, you're not going to change drivers' behavior. You can put up more signs, but it's not really going to change drivers' behavior
Then why
And
have
then-
stop signs anywhere?
because they're appropriate in certain places. And that's part of what the traffic manual is all about, is trying to determine so generally, for example, you don't put stop signs at T intersections all the way around. Because the people who are heading straight on the busier street, it becomes a surprise to them. Or, so on Pearl Street, there's one feeder street that comes in, so people wanted a stop sign both ways. But people who are coming down the hill, it's going to be very difficult for them to stop, particularly if there's weather, like ice or something like that. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, these are the kinds of things in my tenure here that I've learned that they'll take into consideration. So counting the kids might be beneficial, but I'm just saying
What are the other street standards? There's the one that's John listed, there's another.
there's three that he
This
listed.
Prospect. The
side
standards.
view.
No, the street design standard or the manual that he's using.
Oh, yeah, the New York State,
Manual
Bob,
of Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is actually it's a law. You have to follow it. But you know, if you put a stop sign up, it changes the kind of accident you get. Okay, it isn't going to stop the crashes. It's going to change them. They're going to become rear end crashes because people are not going to expect it and they're going to stop. They're going to get rear ended. So the whole issue around severity of crash and effectiveness of the signage is something they should think about. Now, Greenkill, I agree with Rennie. Greenkill is an interesting roadway, and having people go 25 miles an hour on it is a challenge. You know, could we do something with striping? Maybe. Could we? You know, so we might want to have a conversation about what we can do to slow people down on Greenkill. You know, because the whole length of it, from the Little League, you know, from the ballpark all the way up to the bridge, is a straight shot, and people have a tendency to go fast. You know, the corner at Iwo Jima really, you know, what they're proposing there is not going to change the fact that two people who crashed into that building who were drunk in the middle of the night didn't stop. You know, they're not going to stop anyway. It's a challenge to think about how do we slow the traffic on Greenkill, and the pedestrians that Drew talks about is a concern. You know, we don't want kids, and because kids are going to cross there. They're going to come from the high school, they're going to cross the tracks, and they're going to come across Greenkill. And, you know, maybe doing something to highlight that, maybe, you know, like the thing they have on Broadway, one of those, you know, what are they called? Hawks, they're called, the light up things. Might be used. Yeah.
what about, Bob, what about like traffic tables along there?
Well, you could put a traffic, you could do that. You know, you could do that. That would be something to think about. I'd want to talk to John and to Ed about that. And I'd want to find out how fast people are going too. I'd want to do a speed study. How fast are they going?
That's a good thing either.
I
Yeah.
found the other, so we were talking, John mentioned MUTCD, but what about NACTO? Like, do they have anything that would apply?
NACTO is a set of standards that is not law. But NACTO, John we're a member of NACTO. John follows the NACTO guidance. But you know, the MUTCD is what the law is. You can do, NACTO has suggestions that are good most times, and he does follow them. So
Okay.
I would presume he's not looking at that.
Okay.
And John is a very progressive traffic engineer. You know, you're going to find ones that are not nearly as flexible as John is, and I think he does a good job. But
How often what is it, the MCTU, how often is it updated?
the Manual of Uniform Traffic typically it's updated every, I want to say 3 years, 3 to 4, and it's updated by AASHTO. So it's a creature of the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, and it's a creature of the Standing Committee on Highways, and they have a subcommittee that does this. So
Okay.
the problem with it is that it's a national standard, and things are different in Arizona than they are here or Louisiana. So that's the challenge. But that's certainly something. Certainly, Greenkill is something to talk to John about. There's no doubt. It sounds like there's issues out there that should be talked about.
We're in Cedar.
That's how Cedar, yeah, that is all.
Yeah, that's a serious cut through. Speed.
I will say that the center line that was painted on Washington Avenue has made a difference. It seems that people are going slower. They really are.
That's the thing that I mean. It's visual things that can sometimes have an ameliorative effect. And that's why they put in, like in Midtown, you see how they put those kind of red areas in.
Yeah.
That's another thing to warn people.
You know, another thing to point out, Chief Tinty's been very good with his traffic group. If you have a location that's problematic, my experience has been if you reach out to him, he's happy to have his guys go out and write some tickets for speeding and stuff. So he's been very responsive to me about areas that have been problematic from a traffic speeding perspective and stuff like that. So
I agree.
I would second that, yeah.
Cedar.
We have like, street design standards too, and I don't know them there. No. They're in there. No, sorry.
Well, and, I don't mean to be flip, but if you want to see some interesting suggestions, in some European countries, they've done some fascinating things with optical illusions in the streets. So they've painted a box, for instance, but the optical illusion makes it look like it's a hole.
Good.
And so people, whoa!
Slow down.
So that can be good. So, yeah, I'm sure that Bob would say, well, you're just changing the kind of crash you get. Then you have people like really like veering off the road to avoid
For
the
the whole.
falling into the tiger trap. But anyway. All right. Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? All right. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Red.
I thought my-
Bring back the news. Bring back the news for us.
Thanks, Kwame.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, Kwame.